Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. We're going to wait for a couple minutes before we go ahead and get started. And we're going to be talking about data attribution trends and how you can use attribution and enhanced reporting and helping your digital strategies do more for your community. So hold tight for a couple minutes and we'll go ahead and get started. And then for you, those of you that haven't joined any of our webinars in the past, we have a Q&A function that you can click on the little Zoom toolbar. I think if you might have to exit out of full screen in order to see it, but you can pop open that Q&A. Try not to use the chat if possible. It's harder to manage both. If you have questions, please put them in the Q&A and I'll answer them at the end. So we're just going to give a few more minutes before we get going here, and thank you for joining. Never really sure what to do during the awkward time while we're waiting for everybody to join on the webinar. I don't have Joe with me today, so I can't banter with him, but yeah, if you want to throw something, sing us a song. I am a horrible singer. My wife is a fantastic singer, so if she was here, she could help me with that. I can tell, oh gosh, I don't know how funny I am to tell jokes either. I am still working on my quarantine beard, and it's coming in very patchy, even though I'm over 30 years old, but such is life. Tell us a joke. Man, I should have a dad joke on hand for this, but I don't. Let's see here. All right, let's go with the why did the bike fall over? Because it was too tired. Yeah, all right, that was terrible. And I think at this point, oh, where does a king keep his armies? In his sleeveys. Thank you, Amy, for your help. I do remember that one now. I'm got put on the spot and I got flustered. So, all right. Well, I think at this point we'll probably go ahead and get started. Once again, thank you everybody for joining this week's webinar. It's a good one. It's very dense. It's got a lot of information in here, and so if you have any questions, please ask in the Q&A after the fact, and I'll try and get to them in a timely manner. I'm really looking forward to running through this with you all. We're going to be talking about lead gen and digital marketing attribution, and it's just a huge, honestly, it's kind of a can of worms because there's so many different ways to think about attribution and reporting and what metrics make sense to look at. And so hopefully we can help shed a little bit of light on how we think about attribution and what tools we've put in place to help with that. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to turn off my video here so that way I'm not distracting you with my patchy beard, and we'll go ahead and get rolling here. So again, for those of you that haven't been on these webinars before, my name is Andrew Cederland. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Conversion Logics. I've been with the company for about 8.5 years out of our 10-year history. It's been a phenomenal ride so far. We are a premier Google partner, a Facebook marketing partner. We've been on the Inc. 5000 list for the last 5 years or so. And we were based out of Seattle and Austin, our two main offices. We have people all across the country as well. For those of you that have worked with some of our amazing account managers, we have them anywhere from Florida up to New York, and then down across into Phoenix and California as well. So we have a team spread across the country, and it actually helped a little bit for us to be able to convert to a full remote work from home team. I think it actually helped the people that were remote because now we all have to communicate at a much higher level than we did before, as I think we're all adapting to sort of the new reality or the new normal. I think if I could avoid hearing the phrase "the new normal" at any other point in my life, I think I'd be well okay with that. So today we're going to be talking about a few different things. We're going to talk about the state of the multifamily housing market as it relates to digital advertising. This is what we normally go through every week. We're going to talk about the goal of attribution. What are we actually trying to do? Then we're going to talk about traffic and conversion and attribution, why those three fit together so well. We're going to look at marrying lead gen and attribution. And then we're going to talk about some success stories that we've seen from some of our clients. So first off, state of the multifamily housing market. So you guys are probably all familiar with this at this chart at this point in the game. This is our multifamily housing sessions over time. This is looking at overall website activity across all of our clients across the entire country, looking at January 5th to April 4th, so the trailing 90 days. And so you can see here that the upward tick has continued, which is a great sign. Again, the last couple of weeks we had a little small uptick, a larger one, and then now we've seen a pretty big jump week over week, which I'll get to in a minute, which we're pretty excited to see. We're starting to come out of the COVID dip. I think that people were a little bit uncertain about what was happening, and now people are starting to realize that, hey, my June, July move date that I'm kind of looking at is probably still safe. I better get on this and find a place that I want to lease. Looking at the 4-week versus 4-week change, overall traffic is down 19.3% just from the previous high. You can see we had a pretty substantial dip, so that makes sense. Paid traffic in that same time is up 3.4%. And this, again, similar trends to what we've been seeing, where paid traffic has been able to supplement the decline in organic. Week over week, this is the big nice graph to see. So organic traffic is up 25.8% week over week, which is huge. I don't imagine that this will continue up at this same percentage. We'll probably see a very small percentage increase next week, but it's nice to see this get back up to a normal level from where we saw it about a month or 6 weeks ago. Paid traffic up week over week, 5.4%. Again, overall, we're just seeing paid traffic rise in general as more people are spending time online. Looking at marketing performance by channel, again, many of you are familiar with this. We're seeing paid search is the only channel that had a decrease. If you remember from last week, they had a pretty big increase. So there's a little bit of a dip here. One thing I do want to highlight is that we're pulling this data straight from all of our systems. And one of the things with paid search in particular is they have very set budgets and particular budgets. And so as that budget starts to run out, that also also can create a little bit of an impression and click decrease just because you're nearing the end of the month and there's not that much budget left there. Google ads it's a little bit hard to manage the budget all the way perfectly throughout the month just because there's fluctuations in demand. And so as the budget starts to get close to running out, that's why we've seen a decrease here, probably bigger than what we would normally see. I think next week we'll probably see it be about on par. Every other channel is up and to the right as far as impressions and clicks. Again, our appetite for the internet cannot be quenched. And we're spending a lot of time reading articles and browsing Facebook and Instagram and watching things on YouTube and streaming and all that stuff. And so we're just seeing a huge amount of just still continued impression and click increases week over week. There's another chart that's probably familiar looking at Conversion Cloud leads. So this is leads generated through our Conversion Cloud platform versus store visits. It tells a very similar story to last week where store visits are continuing to decline while the leads online are going up. This makes perfect sense because people do not have the opportunity to convert in person. They're going to do it online. We actually saw an increase of 11.8% week over week, which is pretty substantial. I think last week, I can't remember exactly. I think it was up not quite this high as a percentage basis, but again, huge amount of leads coming through from websites and what we're seeing in the Conversion Cloud. So here's a new graph that we pulled out from the Conversion Cloud looking at lead generation trends pre-COVID and post-COVID. And so this is looking at leads per multi-touch source. So this is one of these sources had at some point in the conversion process touched this prospect before they converted. And so it's just a way to help give attribution to as many sources as possible. As we all know, it's a very long leasing journey, and the prospects use a lot of different sources. So looking at leads per multi-touch source is a great way to see all of the different sources that touched each prospect. A couple of big highlights I want to pull out here are looking at the direct traffic there. The light blue on the left, 34.3% dropped to 29.9%. And then at the bottom, 20.9%, Google organic dropped to 14.9%. And then looking at the purple, which is our paid traffic conversion logics, we went from 18.4% of leads generated to 28.4%. And again, this is mirrors exactly what we're seeing on all of the other data that we have, where the organic traffic overall has dropped, and it's really the paid media that at this time is contributing to a more substantial amount of leads than it ever has before. And then the other thing to note is that there's been a really big dip in some of these other sources. And so I think Zillow saw its share increase a fair amount, and some of these other sources like Facebook organic has basically dropped off the list, Craigslist. There's a few other ones that we saw before that we aren't really seeing right now during this time, which is also another interesting trend. Goal completions over time. This is looking at, the question is, what dates are you using as pre-COVID and post-COVID? I think that this is looking at actually February versus March. So February is on the left, March is on the right. And so there's a little bit of I think probably the graphs would be even more skewed if we were looking at the last 2 weeks of March or the last 3 weeks of March, just because the first week was still a little bit in flux as far as when leasing offices started to close. But these are looking at February and then March on the right. So goal completions over time, again, similar chart to what we see matching the sessions. We see a nice increase, and it was actually an increase of 18.6% week over week, which is great to see. It's nice to see us climb out of that dip. So that's the weekly update for all of our metrics that we have from some of our different platforms. And so next we're going to switch gears and talk about attribution, and we're going to start by talking about the goal of attribution, just to kind of get us all on the same page and from the same starting point. So the goal of attribution, when we think about it, is we want to do a few things. We want to uncover prospect behavior. We want to be able to optimize for what works in our campaigns. And then we want to be able to provide accurate ROI, or at least as close to accurate as we possibly can, by saying, here's the people that actually leased from these campaigns. So attribution right now, it says then and now, but it's sort of then in the past, and we're kind of currently in this environment, it's a puzzle with missing pieces. And I just want to say at the very beginning here is that the puzzle will never be complete. We'll never fully understand what causes somebody, what tips them over the edge to converting. It could be something that we can't even see, like they got a raise or something like that. And but what we want to do is do the best we possibly can to fill in the puzzle with as many missing pieces as we can. So the age-old question that we all ask all the time, how'd you hear about us? This has been a way that, we use it all the time for people that come to our websites. How'd you hear about us? Even though we know that they're really just going to tell us the easiest answer. Oh, I saw you on Google, or, oh, I drove by, or whatever. And, but it's, we can't help ourselves. We have to ask it. We also look at things like Google Analytics. We look at tracking sources, goal completions. We look at soft conversions, like looking at floor plans pages and, looking for directions, and then hard conversions like filling out a contact form or making a phone call. And then we do a few other things to try and fill in the gaps. We might, use DNI, dynamic phone numbers, to track to different sources and do the best we can to fill in the gaps. This is one of my favorite cartoons talking about attribution, and just some of the ways that if we don't have the complete data, we actually could make mistakes on how we should make investments marketing-wise for our communities and businesses. And so this is a great cartoon. It's from The Marketunist. His name is Tom Fishburne, and I subscribe to his weekly newsletter where he sends a cartoon of the week. It's pretty funny. It's kind of the Far Side by Gary Larson, if you're familiar with those comics, mixed with marketing. And it's been a fun discovery to see some of these cartoons, just because they're so applicable to what we all kind of live in day out if you're in the marketing world. So this obviously shows a person that's looking for shoes. They see all these different sources. They're taking a journey of conversion, offline and online in this example, and then they convert on their phone. And then in the room, you can see, based on the data, we should move 100% of spending to mobile. Obviously, this is pretty satirical. Nobody actually makes decisions like this. I hope not. But it's just a way that, we can look at the data and look at the metrics that don't necessarily matter. Ultimately, it's not about impression share or cost per click or click-through rate. That's not really what we're trying to optimize for. We're trying to optimize for leases. And with the better data that we have to get us to that point, helps us move the conversation to what's our leasing velocity look like, who's actually leasing based on our campaigns, and then you can work backwards from there versus trying to look at all these metrics and piece together the best possible puzzle from the sources that we currently have available. So looking at attribution now, what is our goal? So our goal is we want to try and complete the puzzle. Like I said, we'll never ever complete it, but we want to do what we can to get closer than we could before. So we want to look at the journey that somebody takes to coming to your website. What are the different touch points that they did? How many times did they come to your website? What devices did they use? Then how do the leads convert? Did they convert from a scheduler app? Did they convert on a live chat? Or did they fill out a contact form? Those are all very different leads, and they speak to different types of individuals. Somebody that's looking to schedule a virtual tour is probably lower down in the funnel than somebody that is just claiming a concession because, oh, I better just grab this offer because I want to make sure if I do want to lease here, I have it. But somebody that really wants to schedule a tour, it used to be in person, now it's online. That person's a little bit more, interested in the community than somebody that's, maybe just fills out a contact form. And then looking at matching leads to leases. We want to get to the point where we can look at leases and then say, what are the different touch points that this person took in order to become a lease. So let's look at traffic, conversion, and then attribution and how those all fit together. So attribution closes the gap in a couple of different ways, but I just want to start off with looking at sort of three sides to a triangle. So the first one is traffic. Our company for the last 10 years, our focus has been driving the best quality traffic to our clients' websites. The goal that, if we drive the best quality traffic, the website will convert them, their awesome team in place will, they'll become a lead, and the cycle continues. So we start with the traffic. Then we started realizing that we wanted a way to help clients get more conversions from their website because most websites have a pretty low conversion rate and contact forms in general just have a very poor conversion rate. And so we wanted to build tools to help improve conversions. And then we look at attribution. So what are the sources that these people came through from the traffic and how did they convert? And what does that tell us about how we should improve and adjust our campaigns? And so when we look at this cycle, we can see, the goal is that the traffic comes through, we convert it, we look at how it converted, and then we let that data influence the next set of traffic that we come through next month. And so when we look at this, this triangle, we can hopefully get to a point where we're continually improving and optimizing and adjusting our campaigns, not based on metrics that are isolated for a specific ad platform like impression share, but really looking at the leases and the lease data. And obviously all of those metrics still matter. I'm not saying that they don't, but it's nice to be able to move the conversation toward the ultimate goal, which is not to drive traffic to your website. The ultimate goal is to actually, lease up your community. So this is why we created the Conversion Cloud. So we built the Conversion Cloud for lead generation. It was just, the whole point of this is to extract as many leads as possible from your existing website traffic. We know that friction reduces action. I've saved thousands of dollars over the course of my life by just not purchasing things because they made it too hard. There's a meme out there from Fry from Futurama where he's waving dollar bills and he says, "Shut up and take my money." And that's how I feel sometimes when you guys have all felt this when you're working with trying to buy something online or do something online and they just make it so hard. Why do you make it so hard to do business with? And so the whole point of the Conversion Cloud was we want to make your site easy to convert on. And we want to facilitate more conversions by having different engagement points. And so we want to be able to offer people a tour or a concession, or maybe they want to chat with somebody, or maybe they just want to call you or even text you. And so having all these different options allows different types of prospects the ability to convert with the action that makes the most sense for them at that point in their leasing journey. So here's an example of our conversion tools. So you can see here on a fake website, we've got Schedule Genie there in the middle, Concession Manager on the top, and then live chat on the bottom. And then on the right there is our list of our conversion tools. So this is sort of the entry point into the Conversion Cloud system and how people actually become leads. So we have live chat as well. We have Income Calculator, which is a way for market rate communities or affordable or essential housing to qualify their prospects. And if it's an affordable community, you can use your AMI values to weed out people that make too much money and help your leasing team filter leads. If you are a market rate place and maybe you're a luxury community, you can use it to, again, filter prospects and at least get a little bit more data on the people that are converting and becoming a lead based on the rent to income variables that you put in the back end of the calculator. And it's built in such a way that it's very fair housing friendly. It doesn't give you a, sorry, you don't qualify, go away. It's very much a, hey, it looks like you may qualify, but we might need a little bit more information. Somebody's going to get in touch with you, or the same, if they don't qualify, hey, we might need a little bit more information. And so it's really just a way for your leasing team to understand what they're getting into when they go to contact a prospect. And I think we all know if you're an affordable community in a city like Seattle, people are going to look at the rents and then immediately start flooding the leasing team with inquiries because they can't believe what a great deal they just found. And so having a good way to filter that out has been a great help to a lot of affordable and market rate communities. We also have Call Us Now, which is just a simple little app that shows up on mobile. It has a little click to call. For some clients' websites don't have good mobile calls to action. The phone number gets hidden behind a menu or something like that. This is a great way to make sure that people can call easily. And then we also have a Text Us tool that you can text prospects. Prospects can text you. That's currently in beta, and we're really excited to roll that out here in the next weeks and months. So do these conversion tools work? The answer is yes. We have an 82% lead lift for people that install Concession Manager over the previous time period where they didn't have it. Schedule Genie, we see a 63% lead lift. And then for live chat, we have a conversion to chat rate or chat to conversion rate of 80%. So of 80% of the people that start a chat, we're able to convert them into a lead for your community. And so it's just phenomenal numbers in order to help. Again, we want to try and get you as many conversions as we possibly can of interested prospects. So now we look at the lead gen and attribution. So we have all these tools in place. We want to try and drive traffic to your website. We want to try and convert that traffic. Now, how do we actually find out, where are these leads coming from? Why are they converting? How are they converting? And so we have two different apps in the Conversion Cloud. And there's the pre-conversion journey, which we call Clarity. That's sort of the Google Analytics on steroids for, how these prospects are coming to your website and what actions they took before they converted. And then we have Matchback, which is the post-conversion journey. Hey, they converted. Did they ever actually lease? So we're going to look at Clarity first. So the pre-conversion journey, we want to be able to look at a few things. One of the things we always want to look at is tracking sessions by source. How are these people coming to our website? What are the main channels that people are visiting our website through? The vast majority is always going to be direct, social, display, and search. Those are really the core channels. And you'll see a few other ones mixed in there too, but it's nice to be able to understand this. Again, this is pretty similar to Google Analytics, but it's nice to just be able to look at it in our dashboard as well. The really cool thing is being able to look and track leads by source and then understand where they converted in the journey and what sources helped in which stage of their conversion. So we can look at leads per first touch source. So this is, this was the channel that converted the person on the first touch that we knew about them. Then looking at the leads that converted on the last touch, this is what Google Analytics measures as last touch conversions. And then looking at leads per multi-touch. So this is saying, hey, this person converted through, maybe they converted through a Facebook ad, but we already know that they came through a search ad 4 days prior to that. And then they actually came back from direct traffic. And so that's actually going to show up in all three of those buckets because we want to be able to see all the different ways that prospects are influenced and all the different touch points that they took in order to become a conversion. And so we have what we call the lease journey visualizer, which is just kind of lays it out. I mean, just like this is a screenshot right from the platform that shows all the different touch points and steps that a lead took before they converted. And so just a few things to note is that, based on browser cookies and all sorts of other things, devices, what devices they're on, we can't know exactly all the different touch points. We can't see things like if they saw a display ad and then came and searched after the fact. We measure post view conversions and visits on our campaigns, but we can't get that data here on an individualized basis. So you still have to look at a few different sources to kind of piece together the full picture, but it's still a great way to kind of see, hey, it looks like they came from a search ad, then they came back a couple days later and they converted on the floor plans page, and then they actually came back after they converted. And so it's a great way to really just, again, visualize the journey that they took. So this is the chart that you saw before. This is looking at clarity data to follow the trends. And so this is, again, February versus March. You can see that the share of lead traffic shifted about 10% overall. It went, got removed from Google Organic and Direct and moved toward the paid sources. And that's just this is, again, like what we saw before, but it's a cool visualizer showing how patterns have changed over the course of COVID and the importance of the paid media, honestly, in helping bolster your leasing funnels. So we've looked at we've converted the leads, we've seen how they converted. And then the next step is actually looking at the leases that got generated from those leads. And so this is why we built Matchback. And so Matchback, you can upload a rent roll into our system. It'll actually match people that are on your rent roll with leads in our system. And so you can see here, this is actually just overall all of the matchbacks that we've had in our system so far. I think this screenshot's a little bit out of date, but overall, an 11% lead to lease conversion rate on the leads that we're driving for communities. Some it's quite a bit higher, as you'll see here in another couple of slides. And then some it can fluctuate. But in general, this is a great way, to tell a story at your community. This is a great tool. We have a lot of clients that use this for owners meetings, being able to very clearly show them, hey, these are your campaigns that are running. Here's how they're performing. We did a match back on the leads that we're driving, and it looks like, here's the different people that converted on these different channels, and then these different apps that we're using on our site. So let's look at the success of a couple of communities. So client example number one is a multifamily community in San Antonio. Schedule Genie, they had 107 leads with 15 leases, a lead to conversion rate of 14%. Concession Manager, they had a lot more leads, a little bit lower lead to conversion rate of 11%, 24 leases off of 219 leads. If we look, this is an example of one of their journeys there. You can see, again, they came from Google local listing, then they came back through a search ad, and then they actually scheduled an appointment. You can see there a text message reminder that's sent out, and then they uploaded a match back, and this person was on the list for that. So they converted, a couple different, or they came to the website a couple different ways, converted on a search ad, and then, became a tour appointment and then a lease. So looking at the leads per source, again, this is similar to what we saw before. You can see the leads per first, last, and multi-touch sources. And then we can also see the leases per source. And so you can see, hey, what are the channels that are actually driving my leases? And so, you can say that you can see the first touch leads, last touch leases, and then multi-touch. They were touched at some point by this channel. Client example number two, a multifamily community in Seattle. They had a phenomenal conversion rates here. You can see 37 leases off 212 leads, 17.45% lead to lease ratio. Concession Manager is very similar, 18 leases off of 102 leads, lead to conversion of 17.65%, which is very, very strong and is pretty exciting to see. Again, we can look at the journey to conversion for different prospects and really get an understanding of how people are coming to our website, look at the leads per source, and then look at the leases per source as well. This one shows a huge amount of direct traffic. And, this chart probably shows a little bit of the weak points, and even in our system of attribution, you know, we have more data than you'd get other places, but again, the puzzle still has missing pieces. A lot of direct traffic is influenced by a lot of other things: display ads, Facebook ads, even search, and just drive-by and walk-ins. But it's always going to get lumped under direct and sometimes organic. And so this is, but we can still see some of the other channels that are driving leases. So that is what I have for you today for you know, conversions and attribution, and how we kind of think about how it all interrelates to your digital marketing campaigns, and you know, really where we're hoping to, you know, move into the future of being able to you know, help you drive true leases and conversions and hard conversions off the traffic that is sent to your website. So right now, I'll just open it up to any questions that people have. If they have any questions, I know I kind of went fast and furious, and there was a lot of data in there, and I used the term attribution probably way too many times. But if you have any questions, we can stick around here for a couple of minutes, and we can, yeah, I'll be happy to answer any of them. Have a question about a Google review? Yeah, that's fine. If you have questions outside of what we covered today, I'd be happy to answer them. While we're waiting for a couple more questions to come through, just going to talk about next week's webinar. We're going to be talking about Google My Business. So local listing trends, how are apartment seekers changing what they're doing based on, you know, COVID-19. And, you know, I was talking with one of our account managers this morning, and she was talking about how location always used to be so important, but right now people can't drive by and see your awesome location. So you might be located at this iconic corner in a, you know, in Hollywood or something like that, that people would normally drive by and see this awesome community, but right now you're not getting that. And so you're having to rely on your online presence a lot more. And so I think that, yeah, Google My Business is crucial for your strategy for 2020, and just sort of some of the changes that Google is making to increase the prominence of Google My Business. Going to talk through some of that. And so I encourage you to show up next week for that. All right. Well, I don't see any questions coming through. So again, if you want to learn more, you can reach out to us. You can visit online. Okay, it looks like the question came through. Reviews are suspended. GMB said that they are prioritizing publishing reviews received during COVID based on the country and business category. Where does the apartment industry land on business category? I'm not sure where apartment community or apartments lands on Google's list as far as what they're allowing people to, you know, leave reviews for. I haven't seen a list. I can certainly ask our Google rep to see if he's seen something. They usually don't necessarily share that information, but I'll see what I can dig up. I think in general, it's probably, if I had to hazard a guess, I would say that anything that's sort of a essential service that's still currently being used is probably what they're allowing you to leave reviews for. And anything that's deemed non-essential, they're probably not allowing you to. And then, yes, we will send a link to review this presentation as well as a watch link after the fact. And then it says, what would be the best lead source to focus on generating more organic traffic during this time? So as far as generating more organic traffic, the biggest thing that we always see is display advertising, because there's a, you know, we did a study that actually showed there was an increase in overall organic and direct sessions and goal completions when you have a display campaign in place. Sort of a post view lift is what we refer to it as. And I think the stats somewhere in the 7 to 10% range. When you added display in, you'd see those organic and direct numbers rise by about 10%. So it's not really organic traffic because it's just coming through as showing as organic traffic on your analytics, but That's if that's kind of where you're going with that, that's what I would recommend. If you're really just trying to get true, people organic, not from paid, you really, the only option you have is, again, Google My Business page, making posts, adding photos, doing whatever you can to, show that you're still active and out there. And then ultimately, there's, ultimately organic traffic. A lot of it is driven by kind of, looking at Google Search Console, looking at organic keywords that come through. It's very heavy branded, which is largely driven from, again, either display advertising or, drive-by traffic, which obviously you can't get the drive-by much anymore. And so there's not really much you can do to bolster pure organic at this time. All right. So again, if you want to learn more about anything that we talked about today, reach out to us, schedule a call, and we'd be happy to talk through and kind of look at your situation and see if we can help. Join us next week for our Google My Business webinar. We're going to talk through listing trends and making sure that Google views your listing very positively, and can help with local SEO as well as just in general social proof and letting people know that you're an active community. So thanks everybody for joining, and next time I'll have a couple of jokes on hand, so that way I have a little material for the first couple of minutes. But in the meantime, enjoy your week, and we'll talk to you all soon. Thanks everybody.